CKDJ 1079, it's the home of Ottawa's new music. I'm sitting here with the Selfie queen, Jessie Mack, a professional wrestler who's part of Ottawa's own wrestling promotion, Acclaim Pro Wrestling. So, without further ado, Jessie Mack, thank you so much for doing this. On behalf of the CKDJ universe at home and all the fans who are listening, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And how have you been holding up now that we're pretty much a year into the pandemic? How did it start for you? Has it been hard? How do you cope with it?
With the I've had a whole different experience with the pandemic. So I actually was making calls, canceling all my bookings because I found out I was pregnant.
Kind of weird timing on the world's part, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
So I've seen some of your some tape of your work in the past. There's some pretty incredible stuff on there. Scraping a baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire across someone's head. Badass, and your Stone Cold Stunner is picture perfect. To get to that point has to require lots of practice, I imagine. So can you tell us a little bit about how you became a wrestler? How long did you train for?
For me, so I'm a little bit older than most of the wrestlers that I've started training. Like a lot of them are starting at like 2018, like depends on who you ask, but I started when I was 25. What I did was I knew a guy that knew a guy. So I ended up enrolling myself into Battle Arts Academy, which is in Mississauga, Ontario. That was ran by Anthony Corelli, who is Santino Marella in WWE. And I kind of went from there. So like they offer grappling, they offer pro wrestling, judo, jiu-jitsu, boxing, and all that stuff. So that was the closest school, and it had a pretty good rep, so I went and I trained.
You have to kind of understand Murphy's Law when you're stepping into wrestling, I guess, right?
Yeah, like you never know. Anything could happen. Like I've watched a ring break. I've watched I've fallen out of the ring before. Like I've literally folded in half and fell out of the ropes and continue. Like you have to continue from that. Like there's nothing, like that wasn't planned. I wasn't supposed to fall through the ropes, but I was like, oh, here I go. Whee! But I got up and I got back in and I started doing what I was supposed to do. Like you kind of got to work with what you're given, and you can plan as much as you want, but and Egan, sorry, my baby.
At what point in your life did wrestling become a passion of yours? Is it still a passion?
It is. I love it. Like I want to go back. Like I'm waiting for the world to open to go back, but I'm also kind of happy because I will have all the time in the world right now to get myself better and trained. And right now that I've had the baby and I've recovered, I'm going to start going to the gym as much as I can before they decide to lock down the world again. I don't know. I still need to do it. Like I want my kid to see me do it. Like I think that's as far as I'll go, is like when he's old enough to remember that his mom did this, then I think that'll be it for me.
That'd be an awesome experience to share with your kid, I imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what that's my goal now, I think.
Can you describe what it feels like to perform in front of large crowds of people? Not a lot of people get to experience that. Do you get nervous at all?
I'm always nervous. Like I feel like if you're not nervous and you don't love it, like you don't love it. Like you have to be nervous doing something that you love, I think. Like, there's always going to be, like, I've done, like, the Leon Center, or whatever it's called, in Kingston. There was, like, 1,200 people. Of course, I was so nervous. Like, there's just, like, even the smallest crowds. Like, I could wrestle in front of 20 people, and I'd still be nervous, like, all the time. It's, like, nerves and then an adrenaline rush. And I miss that, actually. I miss that a lot.
Most people who don't follow wrestling have a sort of, I think, preemptive judgment about what pro wrestling is about. I think what it is that some can't see past the fact that it's considered fake, and I'm putting air quotations around that. But what many don't realize is how real the event actually is, whether it's putting your body on the line, problems with the business, or even traveling and being away from family. In your opinion, what's the most real thing about wrestling you'd want people to know?
The injuries, for sure. Like, you go in, and I've been hurt, like, a few times now. Like, I've pulled my back, I've had, like, 3 concussions, I've had my nose ring ripped out, which was a lesson that I take out all my piercings now. I sprained my foot doing a top rope Rana, a guy landing on it, and I, like, sprained my foot, and I couldn't walk for 2 weeks. A lot of us, we get hurt. Like, it might be, like, it might come off, like, really staged, theatrical, and all this stuff, but the injuries are real. Like, I've accidentally kicked one of the Acclaim guys in the face once by accident, and it's so dangerous. Like I've winded myself many a times, like especially when they're trying to teach you how to bump, and like with my school where I was learning, like we didn't even learn how to bump in the ring. I was bumping on mats on the floor. So
Well, that's all I got. Thanks again for taking the time to talk about this with me. It's so valuable sharing your perspective with our audience who may not know what wrestling is really about. Can we expect to see you make your in-ring return at Acclaim Pro Wrestling?
Yes, for sure. Once I drop the baby weight, I will 100. And the world, like, if the world opens up, then yes.
All right, I can't wait for it. Hope to see you get a title shot or something in the future. Once again, thank you to Jessie Mack for doing this interview. Now stay tuned because there's more great interviews on the way on Ottawa's new music, CKDJ 1079.